Teams venture to the Windy City as Blackhawks opponents. The Detroit Red Wings are that, as well as bitter rivals. The Wings and Hawks share many similarities. They are both explosive, both physical, both with an intense dislike for one another. An original NHL tradition next. National Hockey Night from Chicago in the United Center for the second most played rivalry in NHL history for the 628th time. The Detroit Red Wings take on the Chicago Blackhawks. Hello everybody, Gary Thorne, Bill Clement, Darren Pang. Delighted to have you with us here in Chicago tonight for the Blackhawks, who are headed to the playoffs balanced, and they've found some scoring.
Yeah, they have, Gary, and they have a definite game plan for the Detroit Red Wings tonight. They don't want to play the Red Wings game. They want to shake them up, drag them into the trenches, and try and play a physical game. No matter how they play, though, they still need offense, and they've got one of the top offensive lines in the NHL, the Chicago Blackhawks do, with Bernie Nichols at center, Amati on one side, and Jeremy Roenick on the other side. If Detroit has a problem with this line at all, it'll be because of their speed.
For the Detroit Red Wing team, Scotty Bowman has done an incredible job. They were #1 in the league last year. They lost in the Stanley Cup Finals. They are #1 in the National Hockey League again this year.
Yeah, you look around for a weakness, and there isn't one. But if the Chicago Blackhawks are able to really establish their aggressive style in this game, it may not be Steve Yzerman and Sergei Fedorov that are the most important players for Detroit. It might be Big Keith Primo at 6'4", 215. If the Chicago Blackhawks try to really tune the Detroit Red Wings up, Keith Primo is the guy that could be a big factor in this tilt.
Greg Hartsburg, the coach, said this morning in Chicago, that's the man. They've got to somehow find a way to stop. When you got two great teams, you got great players. One of the greatest defensemen ever, noted for his tremendous wheels. Paul Coffey is ready. The other side, a man who's earned it with a big bang, Chris Chelios. Great rivalry has created a playoff-type atmosphere here. The crowd really rocking here at the United Center to start this game. We'll see whether or not the players live up to the fans. Steve Yzerman's line has started out there. Konstantinov for Detroit. We'll move it up. Yzerman in the middle. Near side to McCarty. Bob Aries the other up front on the Steve Yzerman line. Chicago trying to clear the zone. Could not. Darren McCarty held it in. Taken back in behind the net. Where Chicago will start. Chris Chelios, their captain, up. Murray Craven, the intendant. This probably will be an icing call at the other end, and there's the touch. Joining us, the man who stood in net in a Chicago uniform before, Darren Pang.
Well, thanks very much, fellas. And the situation in net for the Chicago Blackhawks right now, is there a goaltending controversy? It seems to be becoming more and more apparent that yes, there is. Jeff Hackett started the year as the second guy, but he has really emerged as the #1 guy based on his stats, #1 guy in the league. Now, Jeff Hackett right now got the big chance over the weekend. There was a Thursday, Friday home-and-home with Colorado. Eddie Belfour was supposed to play one of those games, the Thursday game here. 60 minutes before the game, fellas, Eddie Belfour had a bad back, did not play. Jeff Hackett did and played brilliantly. Played again on Friday at Colorado, and now you've got Jimmy Waite as the backup goaltender, and Jeff Hackett's the guy for them.
And Craig Hartsburg was not very happy with Eddie Belfour. Down they hit on the far side. Keith Primo put the shot on. Chance for Detroit. They put the pressure on, intended for Coffey, intercepted. Chicago able to clear it out as Tony Amati got it. Amati will be working on the high-scoring line, hopefully, as far as they are concerned in Chicago. We were talking about the wheel and deal line. Smith is going to pick one up in the middle. Kozlov got dumped, and no question about Steve Smith went after Kozlov and nailed him.
The one thing Chicago wants to do besides shaking Detroit out of their game plan is to try to score first. This is not the way they wanted to start. Craig Hartsburg now knows, as Darren Pang mentioned a moment ago, that he has to have two goalies ready for the playoffs. He's got Steve Smith back. He knows how to relate to the back problem. Now Belfour's got the problem.
Darren?
And now the situation there is, of course, in Detroit. You've got the Detroit Red Wings with two guys. Really similar situation. Last year, by all counts, Chris Osgood deserved a chance to play in the playoffs. Mike Vernon was the guy they counted upon when they made the trade with the Calgary Flames. You see the regular season wins. Chris Osgood leads the league with 31, Vernon with 13. Chris Osgood played 2 back-to-back games against the Islanders, and now Scotty Bowman has given Vernon back-to-back games yesterday against Vancouver and, of course, tonight against the Blackhawks.
Nobody better at playing mind games with his members of his team than Scotty Bowman. He'll keep you alive, and he's doing it with the netminders. We mentioned before on Osgood, it's how to be number 1 on your team and number 1 in the league and number 2 on your team. That's what's happened to that young netminder. He's got the best numbers. Power play Detroit. Coffee shot, save made down low. Primo got dumped on the near side. Smith picked up the penalty. Power play Yzerman. Save made and knocked away. Hackett got 2 of them, and it's cleared out by Keith Blarney.
Jeff Hackett has really changed his style in the last couple of years. He used to have a huge 5-hole when he tried to kick for the puck. So much more in control. He just made 2 saves with his new style.
And Detroit's going to be offside as they kick that one back in. Jeff Hackett is 0-6 in his career against Detroit, looking for his first win ever against the Wings here tonight.
You know, his style now is far more controlled. He lets the puck hit him rather than try to kick out for it. And as a result, he doesn't have the big 5-hole opening that he used to have. Steve Yzerman stops on this play, knows he's got a screen in front, so he winds and fires. See how tight Jeff Hackett is? I mean, he had to move a little bit to get that shot, but he didn't go kicking out for it. And the problem is, if you kick out like that and the rebound drops in front, you've got a gaping hole between your legs.
Power play underway here for Detroit. Dino Ciccarelli is very tough in front of the net out there on this power play unit. Banged away to center. Kozlov had tried to get it in. Larionov. Oh! Hit on the far side, Jeremy Roenick. That's the way he plays it. The 26-year-old Jeremy Roenick. A little rock and sock on the boards on the far side. Cleared away by Suter.
Did that surprise Konstantinov? Of all the people that you think would be ready for it, Jeremy Roenick looked like he was the offensive player, and he jumped right into Konstantinov's chest.
Fedorov brings it in. Power play still underway for the Detroit Red Wings. And a potent power play unit it is. It is 6th overall in the National Hockey League. Kozlov on the near side did not touch that one up. The penalty-killing unit of Chicago killing this one off. 30 seconds left on it. 3rd best penalty-killing unit in the league. Short-handed chance deflected straight up in the air. Konstantinov blocking the opportunity of Craven that time. Detroit still has the advantage. Kozlov, Dino Ciccarelli, and Fedorov. Fedorov drops it off. Kozlov looking back to him. Fedorov shot. Blocked out deep by Keith Carney. Carney unable to clear. Larionov holds it in. Back to the point. Konstantinov, that hits Ciccarelli. Dino Ciccarelli took that shot from his teammate right in front of the net, and it deflected into the seats.
I think Dino might have been quick enough to get his hand up in front of his head. Otherwise, he'd still be lying in front of Jeff Hackett. Wow, that one just got away from Konstantinov. Here it is. Konstantinov one-timed it. Tell me you didn't take that one. I know Dino's tough, but he's not that tough. He had to take it with the glove. This is the hit a moment ago. The collision between Jeremy Roenick and Vladimir Konstantinov, and add insult to injury, even scraped Konstantinov with the stick in the face. It looked like on the way up. Interesting, Jeremy Roenick did not have that jaw protector on in the warm-up, nor did he wear it this morning in practice.
Got it on tonight.
Yeah, well, I find that interesting because you'd think he'd want to get used to it. You know, to really familiarize himself with it. He hates it so much he doesn't wear it unless he has to.
Chelios in his own end. The penalty is over. Chicago back at full strength. Detroit 0 for 1 on the power play now, and Detroit has gone 2 for 15 against Chicago in the games they have played this year. Detroit has won 2 and tied 1. All 3 games being played between these two. 2 a win for Detroit, 1 a tie. Just missed tip near side. Greg Johnson, 23, was there. Held on to near side by Dougie Brown. Brown kicked it along the near side boards. Coming over Johnson. Johnson tried to kick it down low with a D cutting. Couldn't. Brown's got it. Brown was looking deep. He had down in front. He had Bob Airy set up in front of the net. He couldn't get the puck down there. Chicago clears it up. Rouse drops it off far side. Darren McCarty back out. The hit put on. Freed the puck up. Bob Airy. Airy drops it off near side for Steve Yzerman. Yzerman has been red hot. 11-game scoring streak for Steve Yzerman of Detroit. 7 goals, 10 assists in the last 11 games. Yzerman right now in the team ranks second only to Fedorov in points. Picked up by Bob Probert. Probert drops it off to the rookie Daze. Bounces right back to him. Checked away by Coffey. Near side is Yzerman with a puck. Yzerman looking with McCarty cutting in front. Couldn't find. He goes to Coffey. Back to McCarty. Tipped wide. He was open. Had him set up in front of the net. Paul Coffey was down there and set up McCarty. Yzerman in. Coffey again. Tried to center. McCarty rolled in. Shot save made. Hackett tipped away near side by Smith. Weinrich's trying to tie up the Red Wing. Did cleared up to Craven.
Now that whole problem for Chicago started when Bob Probert didn't dump the puck in, and he had a chance to do that. If you turn the puck over at the blue line against Detroit, you're going to have problems.
And Ulanov got the opportunity at the other end for Chicago. Mike Vernon the save.
I just want to say our name, the Devils. It's just a name. There's nothing evil or satanic about it.
We are the Devils, princes of darkness. We are pure evil. Worship us. All is dead. It's a missile.
Jeff Hackett with the second best goals against and the best save percentage in the league.
Here is his save on Darren McCarty. See 18 bottom left. That's Denny Savard going to take McCarty. McCarty's bigger, stronger, and Savard missed him anyway. A good effort by McCarty, followed up with a terrific save by Jeff Hackett. Jeff Hackett has played 6 games lifetime against the Detroit Red Wings. 0-6.
Brent Sutter won the draw. The shot deflects off the skates in front. Kozlov able to clear it out. Coming back to get it at the far end, Igor Ulanov for Chicago. Chicago having killed off the first Detroit power play in this game. You see the scoring chances in favor of the Red Wings 4-0. The shots are 3-1 in favor of Detroit. Flipped out of the center by Murphy. Joe Murphy. He's had last goal coming on February 6th. He'd like to get it on geared a little bit, but working on a checking line. Probert got it. Ooh, well after the whistle.
Well after. Now let's see what Detroit does. That's like a direct challenge, a slap in the face. Nobody looks like they're going. Primo's going to say something to Probert, but that's it. That is a slap in the face, and nobody answered the call.
Our Bud Ice scoreboard, other games that were going on this afternoon and tonight. 14:56 left to go in the first period of this one. And we'll keep you updated on those and other games as we roll along. Big Bob Probert has piled up the penalty minutes this season. 164 penalty minutes for him. That's down for his norm, but still number one on his team.
How long after the whistle did he shoot that one?
About 2 seconds.
About 2 seconds. He crossed the blue line, went to the high slot, and just blasted it.
He had to know Murphy was in there ahead because Murphy was right on the left side of him. Back the other way, Kozlov. His shot blocked into the corner. Hit by Smith. Primo came over to get it. Able to hold it in near side. There's some good banging going on. He did not hold it in on that far side. Offside call there.
You know, usually the Chicago Blackhawks match the Sutter line against the big lines on the other team, and that is why Bob Probert and Brent Sutter and Joe Murphy are out there against the Keith Primo line. It doesn't always follow that this top defensive line for Chicago plays against the top offensive line. The top offensive line for Detroit, they are quick, they are smart, they are the Russian unit. So Craig Hartford said, I want my top defensive line against the bigger, stronger line.
One member of that Russian unit not playing tonight, Vyacheslav Fetisov, the defenseman, has gotten the night off tonight for these back-to-back games for Detroit. The Detroit Red Wings, number 1 in the National Hockey League, 46 wins on the season. They have the 3rd best offense and the best defense in the NHL. That was hit with a high stick, and that's the whistle on it that's going to bring the face-off outside the zone.
There's the man that is the top plus-minus player in the National Hockey League. Vladimir Konstantinov, part of that Russian unit. Fetisov is not in the lineup tonight, but look at these plus-minus rankings NHL-wide. Fetisov is 7th. The numbers 1 and 2 guys are Konstantinov and Fedorov, Larionov and Kozlov. So they're all in the top 16, 5 of the top 16 in the NHL. So they not only kill you offensively, they know how to keep the puck out of their net too.
And boy, do they know how to move it around. They can move the puck as well as anyone in the NHL. There's the plus 40 that Konstantinov has picked up this season. Face-off coming to the right of Hackett. Sergei Fedorov out there on this line on the face-off, lost the draw in the defensive zone. Chelios coming around the near side, goes by Tony Amonte, and it's batted away at center to Cicerelli. Nichols got it. Nichols couldn't get it up front. Sticks up Tony Amonte on the near side against Fedorov. Fedorov goes right after him again. Cicerelli stood right there and made sure they separated. He was going to stand there for Fedorov's sake, but they moved away. Jeremy Roenick back at center. Roenick dumped it back into the middle, not quite connecting with Amonte. Cleared back out of the zone again.
See, this is the matchup Chicago wants. They want their faster line with Nichols at center, Roenick and Amonte against the Russian line.
That's the way they want to work it, figuring they've got the better of the speed, create some odd man rushes. Amonte just got Cicerelli on the near side for it. Here comes Cicerelli down the side. Amonte trying to tip it away from Fedorov does. Tony Amonte starts it out. Amonte's been red hot offensively for the Blackhawks. Over to Bernie Nichols. He let it go through. Nichols cutting back to the net. Dropped into the middle, intended for Amonte, intercepted there. Line change underway here for Chicago. Chicago. Jeremy Roenick, no gas left as he made that last pass. Cleared into the zone. Chelios will come back to get it. Chris Chelios, second on the team in scoring with 58 points. Jeremy Roenick leads Chicago, 30 goals and 32 assists on the year. Again, banged off the far side. These two teams can play D. Into the middle, Yzerman dropped it off for Johnson. Couldn't quite cover. Bob Airy goes back into the corner to pick it up. Airy hit from behind, still has control. Airy comes up the boards. No score here in the first period. And the pass intercepted, deflected back to center. Bergevin is out there on D with Paul Coffey. There's Bergevin on the near side. Coffey the wide side. He's got some room. Paul Coffey moving 3-on-3. Drops a Johnson shot, blocked up in the air. Good coverage by Chicago. They had three back. Bergevin back up top. Bergevin shot. Score! And Detroit takes the lead.
What a terrific shot by Bergevin. Not because he scored, because he kept it low and deflectable in front. I think Bob Airy might have gotten a piece of it. One thing is sure, Jeff Hackett didn't get much of a look at it. The Red Wings did a real good, grinding, blue-collar-like job on this goal to take away Jeff Hackett's sight lines and his vision. Look what he tried to see through. You know, Bob Airy was by himself, had some help in front. There is Greg Johnson. Here comes the shot. Oh, yeah, right. That had to hit something in front, either Gary Suter or the man that Gary Suter was tying up. But Marc Bergevin launched a real good shot from the blue line, right in the middle of the net and deflectable.
First goal of the year for Marc Bergevin. And it is a 1-0 lead for the Detroit Red Wings. A team that averages 3.79 a game, third best in the league. Probert's shot blocked by Konstantinov into the seats, but we're on the board here at the United Center in Chicago, and it's Detroit with the 1-0 lead. ESPN's National Hockey Night coming to you from Chicago in the United Center, where the Chicago Blackhawks have gone 17-9-4 at home, but they're taking on the #1 road team in the National Hockey League, the Detroit Red Wings. 19 wins on the road for the #1 team in the NHL, and the Red Wings this season have done well against Chicago, picking up 2 wins and a 5-5 tie in the last meeting between these two teams. Due to time constraints, we'll move to action later in the game right after these commercial messages. For the Detroit Red Wings in tonight's games, we told you Fetisov is out of there. Dandenault, Lapointe, both scratches in this game. Lapointe's got a bad knee that's been bothering him. The reason he's out of there. Cam Russell, Steve Dubinsky, Sergei Krivokrasov with a bad knee, and Eddie Belfour out with a bad back. And a coach is not very happy with it. McCarty tried to center it, comes back out to Murray Craven. He can't clear the zone, however. Detroit's offensively here has kept the heat on. Territorially, it has been their period. Yzerman cuts it back into the middle. McCarty was cutting, not quite. Darren McCarty, you talk about some big hulks. You get Primo and McCarty out in front of the opposing netminder. There isn't much there but red. Shot back in by Konstantinov. Yzerman behind the net. Yzerman looking back out in front, trying to find somebody. This is not a power play. Scores! He didn't need anybody! Steve Yzerman! 2-0 Detroit! ESPN's National Hockey Night coming to you from the United Center in Chicago, home of the Chicago Blackhawks, looking to pick up a victory against the Detroit Red Wings. In the previous 3 games these teams have played, Detroit 2 wins, 1 tie. We'll join action later in the game. One of the things that some fans find troublesome about what you just saw is that in sports today, the players are not joined together by teams. They are joined together as players across the spectrum in sports. There's owners and there's players. And some of the ferociousness, has it been taken out of sports because players are such good friends?
Boy, I'll tell you what, when the playoffs start in hockey, you could fool me if it has been taken out. Maybe in other sports, and they'll be friends after, but when the playoffs start, I'll tell you what, it's pretty vicious out there.
I agree. Shot back in by McCarty. I've always compared that to the basketball pickup game. Best of friends. You go down from the office to play for 45 minutes and you kill each other.
Yeah.
Then you go back to work and work like you're the best of friends and have been for years.
You know, Jeremy Roenick told me he was black and blue after shooting that commercial. He had to do 57 takes throwing his body into the boards.
Not a very good actor. Cleared onto the near side, Savard. Dropped it in the middle, Daze. That was a knuckleball. That would have been troublesome, but it went wide on Vernon as Daze did not get off. Back in behind the net, Savard. Working there, Craven tied up by Ramsey. Cleared off the near side. Daze with the hit on, but it's cleared out for the Red Wings. This will be an icing call. Weinrich keeps Conley going back on the touch. Let's check in with Darren Pang. Darren?
One of the things the Detroit Red Wings and why they've had success so far, as I found in this first period, they've got the 2 goals and the Blackhawks have nothing. Besides the fact the Blackhawks have had no sustained offense, fact of the matter is the Detroit Red Wings aren't doing anything fancy around the net. And for a goaltender, it's very difficult to stop the puck if there's 3 or 4 bodies in front. Both those goals were as a result of the traffic in front of goaltender Jeff Hackett. So for the Blackhawks, they've got to get in front of goaltender Marc Vernon and at the same time get some shots on him.
Yeah, they got to get the puck low first, then get it back to the blue line, then set up the screen. So it's a series of events that allows the team to set up the screen. They haven't been able to even get to square one.
Look at that 9-1 scoring chances in favor of the Red Wings. And that is a true figure. Defined the period pretty well. On the near side, Smith able to hold it in for Chicago. Brent Sutter down low. Sutter, Probert, Murphy on this line. Murphy went back to help out Probert. Got pinned up by Larionov. Up on the near side, Primo backs it out of the zone. Both these teams are coming off losses. Detroit played yesterday and lost to Vancouver 3-2 in Detroit, ending a streak they had, a 12-game win streak at home. Into the middle, shot partially blocked. Chicago's coming off a loss to Colorado on Friday, 5-3. Larionov looking back into the middle. Near side, what a goal! Konstantinov! Hackett's got it. He didn't think so, but he did. There was no coverage on Konstantinov.
Well, just like the Marc Bergevin goal, Gary, all of the Blackhawks followed players back in. So you know they had to have double coverage down low someplace. All the Detroit Red Wings defensemen have to do is get up on the play, and they're going to end up being open. To give Larionov some credit, he slowed down over the boards and gave Konstantinov a chance to get close. Konstantinov would have been better advised to keep his head up and pick a corner, because he just put his head down and blasted from that range. You pick a corner. Ooh, Jeff Hackett thought that one might have squeezed through.
So Hackett, even though it's a 2-0 Red Wings lead, Hackett has really held the fort for the Blackhawks here. Jeremy Roenick moving it in, poke checked away offside on the touch up by Bernie Nichols. Minute 38 left to go in this first period. We'll take you back, Steve Berry. They'll have all the updates on what's going on in the National Hockey League, an update on the condition of Wayne Gretzky, who got taken out of that game against Edmonton this afternoon on a hit. We understand he went to the hospital. So we'll update you on that. We'll have the afternoon's wrap-up. There were games in UNC Duke, part of all the big basketball action going on. That's coming up during our first intermission. Played at center by the Blackhawks, Jeremy Roenick, who sends it in wide. Doug Brown is going back. Poppy got there first, cleared it out off Chelios' stick. Chris Chelios back to Keith Turner.
That's the right idea that Chicago had there. Get to the blue line on a 3-on-3 and dump the puck in. But the Detroit Red Wings get back so fast. See, Paul Coffey's a talented player. He just banged it off the boards and it bounced over Chris Chelios' stick. So even the skill guys for Detroit know when to play it basic.
Bergevin going back, comes up to Dino Ciccarelli. Ciccarelli not playing in yesterday's game, but in tonight. Here's Coffey, 1 to go in the period. Fedorov shot, hit the crossbar, bing bang, and into the seats. Could have been 3-0 right there as Fedorov, he was wide open for the chance.
Well, that's why I said earlier, Gary, that Chicago really isn't playing their game. They wanted to go after Detroit, not give them any time with the puck, really try to forecheck them, really take away their puck carrying time, and that's not what's happened. When Detroit has crossed the blue line, they've had time, but it's so difficult. Paul Coffey crossed the blue line. Fedorov's coming with them. Who isn't going to back off of them a little bit? Bang.
Goaltenders happy with sound.
Once they confirm where the puck ended up.
Cleared around near side. We're down to 45 seconds to go in the period. Penalty coming up. Delayed call. It's going to be on Detroit. Chicago gets the extra skater out. Suitor near side. Daze. Daze couldn't control. That'll get a whistle. And a power play for Chicago with only 36 seconds left to go. And Maruelli making the tripping call here against the Detroit Red Wings. So they'll finish this period with a power play. Well, it is the season of college basketball as everybody's heading for that Final Four, and ESPN's got it for you tomorrow starting at 7:30, the Metro Atlantic Conference Championship game. That'll be followed by the Missouri Valley Conference game at 9:30, Bradley against Tulsa, and the West Coast Conference Championship at midnight. All tomorrow, all on ESPN. Just 3 of many. Johnson, 1923 on the trip for Detroit. This Detroit team, second fewest penalty minutes per game in the National Hockey League. That's the second one they've picked up, second 2-minute minor. And the trip at 19:23 on Johnson, second power play of the game. But the first extended. The other one was just for 6 seconds, 10 seconds.
And this one, even though it's extended, it's split over 2 periods. So
yep, that benefits Detroit, obviously. Back down the middle, looking for that chance. Nichols in front, shot, Roenick save, rebound. Murphy couldn't jam it home. What a great effort made by Jeremy Roenick as he brought that puck the length of the ice. He took a shot, rebound was left. It was almost jammed home from the side by Joe Murphy. Good chances. Vernon, the whistle, will hang on to the wobbler. 2-0 Detroit after 1.
Well, Jeremy Roenick, look at him laughing. Well, this is another reason why Scotty Bowman is not afraid to put Mike Vernon in the playoffs. You know, a big situation like this, I mean, he's laughing. Nothing bothers Mike Vernon. But watch what happens here. Jeremy Roenick gets a shot away, and Mike Vernon was not able to squeeze it off. That's why Joe Murphy was allowed to get a rebound chance. The other thing, too, about Mike Vernon starting, Gary, I mean, Mike Vernon really hasn't gotten his game together yet. I mean, he's allowed a bad goal a game pretty well for the last little while that he's played. Scotty Bowman knows that Osgood is ready to go, and if he can get Vernon ready to go too, he can't lose.
No, that's right. They have 2 of the best in the league in their numbers. The winningest coach in National Hockey League history trying to add another one. He's got the lead after 2 despite the effort by Jeremy Roenick. Bergevin and Yzerman the goals. 2-0 Detroit.
ESPN's coverage of National Hockey Night is brought to you by the new Dodge. We're thinking ahead. By Miller Lite. When you've got the great taste of an ice cold Miller Lite, life is good. And by Visa. It's everywhere you want to be.
Welcome back, everybody. A victory by Detroit tonight would tie their franchise mark for the most wins in a season, set back in '93. They're going for their 47th. They lead it 2-0.
Darren McCarty did not get an assist on the Steve Yzerman goal, but he sure deserved an honorable mention because of the play that he made. He really helped Steve Yzerman out in the situation because Steve Yzerman was in behind here, right in behind the net. Chris Chelios is in front. Now he's waiting because he doesn't know which side Yzerman is going to come out. But Steve Yzerman needs help. It is provided in the form of Darren McCarty, who goes to the side of the net. Watch what he does. He jams up here with Gary Suter, pushes Suter right to the net, keeps his ground, keeps digging in, digging in. Steve Yzerman sees that there's some kind of screen set up, and he uses it. Chris Chelios could never get to Steve Yzerman, so give honorable mention to the Yzerman goal to Darren McCarty.
The assist was given to Konstantinov on Yzerman's goal, his second. Bergevin had the first one, a couple of even strength goals, 2-0, Detroit on top, and we're underway in the second period. Chicago's continuing the power play, their second power play of the game. Chicago on the power play. Chelios back, lost it. Doug Brown tried to center it out in front. Brown ran it down the board. Chelios picks it up. The Chicago power play 0 for 9 against Detroit this season in the 4 games that they have played. They are tied for 11th overall in the NHL. After having the #1 power play last year, Chicago's dipped to 11th. They're looking back over the point. It's set up for the first time. Chelios near side shot. Deflected out in front. Is knocked down by Lidstrom, who gets it back from Brown. Lidstrom and Doug Brown, short-handed, move it up. Hackett knocks it away. Did a little crawling on the ice.
Well, it was a little bit of a knuckleball that came at him.
Fortunately for him, nobody was there with the opposite color uniform in front. Bob Airy flips that one up and out of the zone. 27 left on this power play. Chicago. Here comes Coffey. Coffey short-handed. Went for the wide side post and missed it. Comes all the way up to the blue line, Bob Airy. Airy let that one go to the corner. Craven back. Left it for Savard. Denny Savard trying to center. Hit Yzerman who blocked it. Coffey racing on the far side. Daze got there first. Power play still underway. Shot deflected out deep. Weinrich took it. Shot that one, though, right into Bob Airy. And Airy will send it the length of the ice, and that'll do it. So Chicago does not convert on the power play. Detroit back at full strength. It remains a 2-0 Detroit lead. Shots are 11-10 in favor of Detroit, but by far the scoring chances have gone Detroit's way. Savard trying to catch Vernon out of the net, could not. Mike Vernon, Jeff Hackett, the new netminders here tonight. Poked away, Weinrich had stepped up for Chicago, helping to hold it in. Daze covered for him, sent it along the board. Primo guns it right back out. 2-on-3 the other way. Kozlov came right back to it. Daze flips it up. Savard drops it back for himself. Savard, Craven, and Daze, and the Chicago Chicago line. Here's Denny Savard, knocked away by Larionov in the corner. Goes back up near side Daze. The rookie drops it off. Savard cutting to the net. Will have to go behind the net. Taken out of the play by Johnson. Ends up in the net.
Ouch.
And moved it. So that'll take care of that. Darren Pang.
You know, the status of Jeremy Roenick, fellas, in the offseason, he's going to be a restricted free agent. And the situation right now, his agent is Neil Abbott out of Boston. And right now, they've agreed on one thing, fellas, and that is they've agreed to disagree with general manager Bob Pulford of the Chicago Blackhawks. So there will be no negotiations right now. There's nothing on the table. And they will then be, he'll work his free agency on July 1st, hoping for another deal elsewhere. In the meantime, Jeremy Roenick has been absolutely flying. And Bill had been talking about the protective device covering his jaw, that non-displaced fracture of his jaw because of Cortinal hit. Well, fact of the matter is he can't eat, and he's lighter. He's lost about 7 or 8 pounds, and he has absolutely been flying. Usually plays roughly 195 pounds. At the beginning of the year, 40 or 50-second shift was tough for Jeremy Roenick. Well, he's one of the few Hawks in this game anyway that have been absolutely...
Fedorov takes the shot. Save made. Deflected back along the near side blue line. Deflected back to Cicerelli. Cicerelli back at his own blue line. Knocked away to Grimson. Grimson comes to the red line. Deflected. Probert picks it up. Comes back for Chelios. Chelios dropped it off into the corner. Sutter let it go. Konstantinov there. They're back up near side boards and out of the zone. Yeah, you got some big boys out there right now. Lou Grimson, one of them on Chelios' back right there into the corner. He's out there with Yzerman's line right now for Chicago. Back into the middle. Yzerman stepped up, couldn't get it. Taken away for Chelios. Chelios from Murphy. Chelios in. His shot save made by Vernon. Knocked away to the near side corner. It's freed up to Paul Coffey behind his own net. Now Chicago's rushed the net a couple of times here to start this second period. Doing a lot of that in the first.
Nothing clean, though.
Deflected away. Fans wanted a call. Samadi got taken down. They won't get it. Bergevin cleared it up. Grimson sends it in. They'll change. Getting in front of that net's been a real job for Chicago in this game.
Just getting to the net.
Yeah. Detroit's coverage has been outstanding. Puck cleared into the zone. That was Ramsey who fell down, but he took his man out of the play. Smith, Amati behind the net. Bounced off the dasher to get it. Back up on the near side. Ulanoff takes the shot. Saved by Vernon. Penalty coming up. Delayed call on Detroit. And there's the whistle. The Red Wings will get the power play on the interference call. It is a 2-0 Detroit lead.
Take a look at what Bernie Nichols did here. That's Bernie Nichols' stick right into Mike Vernon's chest. He's trying to bust him like they do in the military. Rip his logo right off, his stripes, his wing.
Good try.
Those things are sewn on there pretty tough. Bernie, you're going to have to hook them a little better.
There's Bob Rouse who picks up the call at 3:51. Third power play Chicago. Shot wide by Chelios. Chicago trying to get on the board here in this third power play chance. Suter's got to chase it down. Suter and Chelios combining for the most points by a defensive pair in the NHL. 114 coming into this game. They're on the power play, but they can't hold the puck. Short-handed chance. Larionov's out in front. There's Larionov. Score! Konstantinov will get the goal. It bounced off a Chicago Blackhawk, I think. Maybe Chris Chelios, and ended up in the net on the attempted pass. Short-handed goal, 3-0 Detroit.
The basic backbreaker. Not only now does Detroit go up 3-0, but Craig Hartsburg's team has given up a short-handed goal. Here's what happened. Denny Savard had Konstantinov just outman him. Gary Suter came up to try to help out. It didn't help. Konstantinov was able to continue. It was Suter. It looked like it might have been Chelios' stick, but Suter came back and recovered and tried to reach out and stop the pass. Jeff Hackett had no chance. Craig Hartsburg said today, the thing that bothered me most about my team, in pressure situations, in key situations, we have not performed well.
Not doing it here. And it is a 3-0 lead for the Detroit Red Wings. Their 11th short-handed goal of the season. Set up, score! Jeremy Roenick from Chris Chelios.
Well, it's to start for Chicago. Here's how it started. Here, moving all the way across here to Chris Chelios. Once it gets across to Chelios, Jeremy Roenick's going to move in the bottom right of the screen. Chris Chelios sees a lane all the way over here to Jeremy Roenick, who's waiting for it. Pulls out of the shot. Perfect pass to Roenick. I mean, that was bang, bang. That's the way you got to do it. But how big is that shorthanded goal now by Detroit, huh? They still got a 2-goal lead.
A 3-1 game now as Jeremy Roenick picks up the goal, his 31st, to put the Blackhawks on the board.
See, Roenick knew he had to move into the shooting hole, so he had to move up off the goal line to give himself an angle. He found the seam. The playmaker very often is the guy away from the play. Roenick moves to the seam. Real nice play.
Great setup by those two all-stars. See if that rejuvenates Chicago here. They're putting the heat on now in front. Probert, Murphy, spun around, still has the puck back to the point. His shot deflected on the block. Johnson went down and blocked that out front. Greg Johnson put the body on it. Johnson recovered and sent it back in. So a 3-1 Detroit lead now. All during that Rouse penalty, the shorthanded goal by the Red Wings immediately answered by the power play goal by Chicago. Konstantinov, shorthanded, unassisted at 4:15. Roenick from Chelios and Gary Suter at 4:38 on the power play goal. Here's Brent Sutter on the near side. Sutter will send it in. Chicago changing it up. Left for Rouse. Rouse looking to the near side. It hit up on the dasher. Came free. Chicago hopped. They can't control. Tim Taylor able to knock it away.
Well, at least the crowd is back in it from a Chicago Blackhawks standpoint. But this is where the Detroit Red Wings, they bend a little bit, but they hardly ever break.
This is what has made this team #1 over the last 2 years. Savard moving it in. Tipped back out by Primo. Chelios has got to wait. He's got 3 Blackhawks down deep. He does. Leaves it for Savard. Savard spun around. Knocked away to Chelios. A little room. The shot. Deflected and a great save by Vernon. With Murray Craven set up in front.
And that's why it was a great save. Not only a great save, but he covered up the rebound. I mean, there was nobody for at least a second and a half. Murray Craven would have had all kinds of time to control a rebound. So Mike Vernon not only made the save, but he controlled the rebound. Chris Chelios threw a screen, the big screen of Keith Primo. Vernon with the smothering save, and you can see Craven all alone in front.
And on our Red Dog League leaderboard, some goaltenders in this game among the top in the NHL. Chris Osgood, #1 in goals against. Jeff Hackett, #2, is playing tonight. Mike Vernon at 2.39, ranked tied with 4th with Hextall now. All 3 of those in the building, 2 of them on the ice. There is Mike Vernon making the start here. He is 9-9 lifetime against Chicago. And has come up with some big saves. Weimert, open shot. Vernon again. Open net.
This. Now, Mike Vernon did not control that rebound, and he's talking things over with Paul Coffey in front. I mean, if Mike Vernon gave up that big a rebound, he might not have seen the original shot. The faceoff was won deep in the zone. Eric Weinrich smart. Now it looked like Weinrich was able to see it. Maybe it didn't even get to Mike Vernon. That may have bounced off of Paul Coffey right to Murray Craven.
Boy, Chicago's come on. They've got this to a 1-goal game. It is 3-2 after the Red Wings had dominated the first period and taken a 3-0 lead on a shorthanded goal. Chicago's come back with a power play and an even strength goal to make it a 1-goal game. Back to center, Coffey in his own end. Jeremy Roenick on the forecheck from back near side Yzerman. Steve Yzerman is credited with one of the goals. Lost it to Bernie Nichols. Nichols the shot. Vernon holding the short side. In behind the net of Monty, they hit. Roenick was cleared around the boards by Bergevin, and he got it out. Steve Yzerman's line up. McCarty shot, missed it wide. Detroit changing it up. Hit put on in the corner on Roenick, but he got it up to Murray Craven. Craven working out there with Roenick and Amati. They're in the middle of the line change, though. That's why nobody was there for that pass. Chelios just coming out on the ice, sends it in. Chicago had not cleared the zone, however. Detroit kind of catch him in a line change. Chelios comes right back over and backs that one away. Fedorov taken out of the play by Brent Sutter. Chelios has got it. Chelios moves it up to on his right side, flips it in into the wide side corner. Bob Probert. Probert drops it back. Sutter the shot. Save made by Vernon. And there are some shots being taken. Probert in behind the net in a long discussion.
Yeah, with the Grim Reaper himself, Stu Grimson.
Murray Craven at 6'11", his 15th of the year, set up by Weinrich and Savard. Craven has made it a one-goal game.
Well, the goal that Chicago scored started on a faceoff. Denny Savard beat Steve Yzerman and went back to the point. Eric Weinrich's shot hit somebody in front before it got to Mike Vernon, and it dropped right in front of Murray Craven. Mike Vernon kind of did the splits to make the original save, but before he could get to it, it bounced right to Murray Craven, and bang, the Chicago Blackhawks are alive.
What a change in this game. The shots are now 18-14 in favor of Chicago, and the scoring chances have got to have picked up as well. Hackett's getting a mask repaired over on the far side Chicago bench, so there is a delay while we wait for his mask to be taken care of here.
It's a contact lens.
Oh, he's got a lens.
Yeah, it's a contact lens.
You got to have that.
I would think, especially on those long ones. It's kind of interesting because the goalie's not allowed to go for equipment repairs to the bench. The equipment is transported. That's why I wondered why Dan Morelli was, working with him, and it's because he didn't have his contact in right. It must have slipped. Guess what? He might have to come out, folks. He's not having any luck there.
We want to remind you while he works at that, the Women's Championship hoops coming up on the Deuce tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. The Atlantic 10 Women's Championship game. The winners of tonight's semifinals will be George Washington UMass, LaSalle URI in those games tonight. Then at 7 o'clock, the SEC Championships. They'll face the winner of tonight's semifinals as Louisiana State, number 13 Alabama. They're playing tonight. Number 18 Florida, number 5 Tennessee are playing. You'll see the winners. And if you don't get the Deuce like I don't, keep calling those damn cable operators who won't put it on.
Why I oughta.
Why I oughta.
We got it.
I can't get the Deuce.
I called enough. We got it. Jimmy is waiting. There's Jimmy Waite standing there wondering if he's going to have to come over the boards. Nope, Jeff Hackett's putting his mask back on.
So Waite will do just that. And Hackett's back in. Detroit, obviously, I would think at this point, probably not entirely upset about this delay that Chicago's taking. They were the ones who were rolling Chicago. Darren.
Yeah, Jimmy Waite has been a very reliable source for the Chicago Blackhawks as a backup, fellas. And you get back to the controversy that the Blackhawks do have right now. Ed Belfour missed an assignment this morning to rehab a little bit, so the pressure strictly right now is on Jeff Hackett. Fellas, I forgot to put my contact lens in my career with Chicago.
So that's the answer to the goals against question. Flipped up out of the zone, and Weinrich up for Probert. Forgot the groin. Oh, now that's a low blow. That is silly. Along the near side boards, Konstantinov. Near side Lariano. Igor Lariano, Chicago picking up with two men down there in that forecheck, putting the heat on Detroit. Now they are the ones, Chicago, preventing Detroit from getting through that center ice area, which is what Detroit did to Chicago in the first period. Eric Weinrich waiting for his teammates to clear, sends it in, ricochets around to Konstantinov. Konstantinov flips that one up, got it by Daze, not by Weinrich. Weinrich off the boards again into Daze. Daze 3-on-3, dropped it off and heads to the net. Spin around by Savard into the corner. Murray Craven, the intended, knocked away, and Lindstrom will try and move it up for Detroit. Got it out of the zone. Back in Lariano. Leaves it in the middle. Taylor there. Taylor couldn't get a handle on that. Good tie-up from behind by Smith.
All of a sudden, Chicago's coverage is picked up. Detroit, up until about 5 minutes ago, was able to have more time with the puck. Chicago's moving to their chest much faster now.
Getting to cover Detroit here, not giving them the skating room that Detroit had, especially on their trailing defenseman in that first period. Here comes Yzerman. Johnson in front. Yzerman down the middle, stripped to the puck. Where is it? Bob Airy finds it. Trying to drop it off. Chelios, though, was there to intercept. Chicago back. They're trying to get this game tied after trailing 3-0. Daze, the shot. Save made! And just by Vernon. The second leading rookie scorer, Eric Daze, almost got one. Johnson to Bob Airy. Scores! What a great pass! Set right across the top of the crease. And Detroit takes a lead of 4-2.
That was a backhand pass, too, folks. That is not an easy pass to execute. Chicago's coverage, I think it was Murray Craven on Bob Airy, a half a step away. And Detroit has regained that 2-goal lead. Here's Greg Johnson along the side. Watch this. He goes wide. That's a tremendous backhand pass, and Murray Craven was not able to catch up to Bob Airy. Bob Airy ducked like Johnson was going to bang into him. Greg Johnson set assist records in his 4 years at North Dakota. He knows his way around an assist. I'll tell you what. That is Greg Johnson at his best. Really Bob Airy at his best. Just driving the corner of the net.
Can't do it any better than that.
No.
I mean, that is picture perfect. And it gives Detroit the 4-2 lead. Another huge goal in this game. These teams are really going at it here midway through the second period. Detroit extends that lead back to 2 at 4-2. Jeremy Roenick flips it into the zone. Bergevin back to get it. Roenick on him. Roenick got the puck. Roenick, outstanding play. Up for Keith Carney. Carney trying to send it in, batted down. Carney will chase back to the red line, drops it back to Chris Chelios. Chelios at center. They set it up in Kendall for Bernie Nichols. Intercepted. Again, Bergevin was there. Fedorov leads. Fedorov shot. Save made by Hackett. And there'll be no rebound on that one. These goaltenders are seeing some outstanding chances at both ends here as this game rolls along.
Here's one guy you don't want to leave open for very long. And the rookie for Chicago, 55, Eric Daze, you don't want to leave open for very long. Watch how Daze does this. He has a sneaky quick shot. See that almost no windup? And it's half wrist shot, half snap shot. Mike Vernon was screened on the play, but nobody's going to catch Daze with his 27 goals. Daniel Alfredson, his second in rookie goal scoring. He's got 28 goals now for Daze, and I don't think Alfredson will catch him.
Nope. He's got a pretty good lead on that one, and he leads all rookies in plus-minus, Daze does as well. He's having a fairly strong season. He's a good one. Bob Probert knocked that one away. They get back onside. Brent Sutter. Sutter, Probert, Murphy out there. Again flipped away. Kozlov banged by Sutter. Sutter held it into Murphy. Murphy the shot. The save made by Vernon. Harry's 11th coming at 9:07 from Johnson and Yzerman to give Detroit that 4-2 lead. Darren Pang.
Eric Daze has been brilliant this year, fellas. As you well know, he's the leading goal scorer in the National Hockey League amongst rookies. But, you know, it wasn't always that way with his skating. And, in fact, he felt that he had to improve on his skating. With a big 6'5", 205-pound frame, he had to get around the rink. So the last 2 summers, he trained with Gaetan Boucher, a 2-time gold medal Canadian Olympic speed skater. So in the offseason, he goes back to his native homeland in Quebec and discusses things over with Gaetan Boucher. It has really, really helped his stride, and you'll see him drive into the net with so much more speed.
Amazing. We were just looking, Bill, at the goals. He scored 28. For a rookie to have 26 of the 28 at even strength, that's pretty impressive number.
That is terrific, because just about everybody that gets up in the goal scoring department, you look across the columns and you see, you know, at least a few power play goals. 2 out of 28 is not a lot.
For the rookie. Larionov's got it. Detroit's got the 2-goal lead. Keith Primo, the intended near side, bounced off the body. Smith comes back to get it. Smith back in behind the net. Smith drops it off. His partner tonight, Ulanov. Igor Ulanov, wearing number 6 for Chicago. Back into the middle of center. Chicago will change it up. Great to have you with her. National Hockey Night in Chicago. Just a taste of what the playoffs are going to be like. You'll be seeing them right here on ESPN and on the Deuce. All the way through the Stanley Cup Finals. They will begin in less than a month. And it's going to be these kind of games. Detroit starts the other way. McCarty moving it in. McCarty tried to take the shot. Squeezed out on the far side. Good play. Gary Suter stayed right with him. Trounce holds it in behind the net. Airy coming back to help McCarty. McCarty centered. It hit the paddle and is slipped away into the corner. Savard could not clear. Back down low. Airy again. Airy with Weinrich on him. Centered it. Taken away Savard. Denny Savard drops it, and Chicago's back with Daze leading the charge. Daze stood up by Ramsey. The veteran Mike Ramsey has played a heck of a game here tonight.
Now, that's what you can't play Detroit trying to beat him one-on-one, man-to-man. I mean, Chicago, with their skating ability and forechecking ability, they've got to get to the blue line in situations like that and drift one on Mike Vernon and then drive for the rebound without the puck. Mike Ramsey can't hold Eric Daze up there if Daze doesn't have the puck.
There's the shot by Savard. Deflected over the head of Mike Vernon. Coffey picks it up. Chicago changing. And Grimson coming back through the middle. The Reaper lost that one. Roenick moving it in. Roenick lost control, spun around. Chelios stepping up. Roenick covering for him, puts the hit on. Roenick in the collision with Grimson. Now they've got to get back on side. Chelios trying to send it into the zone. Knocked down again by Grimson. Batted away at center to Tony Amati. Stripped with the puck, Cicerelli. Tino Cicerelli. Cicerelli and Amati do battle in the corner. Carney comes over to help out. Puck pinned up there by Keith Carney, and there will be a whistle. 7:25 to go, second period. The Detroit Red Wings on top by a score of 4-2. Stevie Yzerman, their captain, 2 points tonight so far. He's got a goal and an assist. Hockey night coming to you from Chicago in the United Center, where the Chicago Blackhawks have gone 17-9-4 at home, but they're taking on the #1 road team in the National Hockey League, the Detroit Red Wings. 19 wins on the road for the #1 team in the NHL, and the Red Wings this season have done well against Chicago, picking up 2 wins and a 5-5 tie in the last meeting between these two teams. Due to time constraints, we'll move to action later in the game right after these commercial messages.
Well, watch Paul Coffey's acceleration here. 1, 2, 3 strides, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, he never takes his skates off the ice after that. He's at full speed after 7, 8 strides to his own blue line. And between the blue lines, he just shuffled his skates back and forth.
Amazing. You can learn how to do that, folks. You're going to make a big time living. Not many have. Come back into the middle. Here's Brent Sutter. Sutter, his shot, Vernon the save. Sutter taken out of the rebound chance, Konstantinov.
See, I would say don't try this at home.
No. Especially without skates. In the corner, Primo pinning it up with Murphy. Centering pass, Larionov got it. Konstantinov back to it. Igor Larionov. 3-on-2 for the moment. Probert gets back 3-on-3. Shot the save made by Hackett. They have a 3-on-2 break momentarily there. McCarty the chance. Here's Lidstrom. Save made again by Hackett. Our Visa storyline on National Hockey Night here in Chicago looks like this. Yzerman, his 32nd goal and an assist, now a 12-game scoring streak. His career high, 28 games. Roenick, 31st goal of the season. The Red Wings on the road, best in the league.
And our Visa replays involve friction and contact. The first minute of the game, a big hit by Keith Primo. And then watch 24, Bob Probert, as Mike Vernon was trying to get to the bench for a delayed penalty. Why, I'll take you even if you're bigger. Sergei Fedorov's big blast stopped by Jeff Hackett.
And the face-off coming here to the right of Hackett. Off the near side boards. It's cleared out of the zone. Murray Craven. Craven intercepted by Yzerman. 3-on-3. Yzerman the blue one in. Yzerman drops it. Johnson trying to get it back to Airy. Could not. Daze intercepted. Daze's got that big, long reach because of his height. Usually somewhat of Lemieux sometimes with the poke checks he uses. Big tall guys can reach in. Looks like halfway across the ice sometimes. Pick off the pass or reach in and just pickpocket a puck.
And the thing is, Gary, not only are they tall and gangly with long arms, but because they're so tall, they use big sticks.
Daze used it that time. Save made by Vernon. Eric Daze was all alone in the slot area for that shot. Daze goes plowing in to try and get the puck out and can't. Yzerman leads it up, the captain of the Red Wings. Yzerman over to Bob Aaron. Into the corner, Igor Ulanov comes back to get it. The Detroit Red Wings looking for a franchise-high 47th win. Equal the mark they set in '93 in their 70-year history. Coffey dumped it back in behind the net. Red Wings have a chance this year to beat the Montreal Canadiens' all-time mark of 60 wins in a year, set back in 1977. Guess who the coach of the Canadiens was when that record was set? The same one standing behind Detroit's bench. Fedorov in.
Is not liking this, but what is Jeff Hackett going to do? The Red Wings have scored 5 goals on him, and he has not even come close to being bad on one of them. I mean, he made a tremendous save on Sergei Fedorov, and the rebound went out to somebody that should have been covered, and that was Doug Brown standing right in between the hash marks. So Doug Brown has given the Detroit Red Wings a 5-2 lead. A reverse angle look at it. Fedorov faked. and then went for the deep. Look at the double coverage. Both Suter and Ulanov went for Doug Brown, and then nobody had him. Look at Doug Brown. Hots all around him. He shelved it over Hackett, 5-2.
The Red Wings, Donnie Bowman's got to be very happy about the response of this team here in this game. Doug Brown again down low, trying to get a shot off, stolen by Roenick. The Blackhawks had come back after the Red Wings had a 3-0 lead to make this a 3-2 game. It is now back up to a 3-goal differential at 5-2 with a minute 30 to go in the second period. Down low, no shot. It was rolled through the crease that time by Tony Amati. Centering pass knocked away by Dino Ciccarelli. That's the kind of protection the Detroit goaltenders get. They're forwards down there batting the puck away as well as blocking shots. Keith Carney came to get it. Both teams changing it up here. McCarty goes down on top of the puck. Bernie Nichols standing there. Igor Larionov there. Dug out and sent away by Primo. Took a double shot that time from Murphy and Chelios.
Getting a little chippy now. Marc Bergevin and Bernie Nichols were getting into it. Chelios and Primo there. It's heating up.
Only 53 seconds to go here in the period. Brown's goal is 8th of the year from Fedorov and Ciccarelli at the 18-minute mark, as Barbieri and Brown have added the last 2 goals for Detroit to take that lead to 5-2. Let's check in with Steve Levy. Steve?
All right, Gary, thanks. The new Dodge takes us to Anaheim. The Mighty Ducks and the Lightning. Tampa had the 1-0 lead on the Bill Holder goal. Well, Holder would be involved in this one as well. Holder the shot, Mikhail Shchelenko the save, and Brian Bradley puts it home. 2-0 Tampa, guys.
And that's one of those teams who we're talking about you wouldn't want to meet in the first round. Tampa Bay Lightning have some very good young players on that team. And under Terry Crisp, they've come together here in the second half of the year. They're in that 8th spot right now.
They were flat out bad the first 25 games of the season. But you're right, they have really put it together.
Good youngsters.
And Billy Holder's having a good day out there. He played for Anaheim, so he's come back out to the West Coast to really chip in for Tampa.
Makes you feel bad, right? Konstantinov's shot saved by Hackett with 30 seconds left to go here in the period. Now look, Tampa Bay has got some of the youngsters. Brian Bradley, Roman Hammerlick. Bradley's not a youngster. Hammerlick is, though. He's going to be a clear star of the future. Chris Groton's another one who's developing. They're all these kids. Rob Zaminer. Yeah. I mean, they're youngsters who are just learning the trade here and having to learn it at the NHL because of expansion rather than at a minor league level somewhere.
They're in as 18-year-olds or 19-year-olds. Hammerlick at one point when he came in 3 years ago was the youngest player in the league. He's terrific.
To give people some trouble. Back up to the point. Konstantinov shot deflected off McCarty to the near side. Chicago's just trying to get through this final minute without giving up another goal here. Konstantinov chasing it down. Probert there. Konstantinov and Probert collide. Chicago trying to get a final chance here. Banged off the boards though by Detroit for Primo. Primo got it out through the middle. Sends it up along the near side. Flipped it in wide of the net. And it'll be taken there by Smith. And what looked like a strong second period for Chicago ends up otherwise. They've gotten it down to a 1-goal differential. Detroit has answered back and taken a 3-goal lead.
ESPN's coverage of National Hockey Night is brought to you by the new Dodge. We're thinking ahead. And by MasterCard, the official card of the NHL.
Well, in the 4 games played, the Red Wings have had the best of it with a period to go here. They've got the best of it again. The Red Wings leading it by a score of 5-2. Gary Thorne, Bill Clement, Darren Pang. Welcome back to Chicago, everybody. Chicago made the run. They got to within 1, but this Detroit team isn't number 1 for nothing.
And number 1 defensively, and that's why they're next to impossible to come back against, and that's why Chicago didn't really... They weren't in the position to afford any defensive breakdowns. The Chicago Blackhawks weren't, and that's been the story of this game. With Fedorov here on this one rush, we'll see a defensive breakdown. Fedorov moves in on the defense, and it's Ulanov that is back there. But here's Ulanov. He doesn't realize he's got Gary Suter to cover Greg Brown. So Ulanov goes, instead of going to Fedorov, he goes to Greg Brown too. So watch, they've got double coverage there on Brown. Fedorov's chance. Here's how bad it got for Chicago. All of a sudden, Gary Suter lost Doug Brown. So the Chicago Blackhawks went from double coverage to no coverage on Brown. Here's a goal cam look at it.
And so Chicago has themselves in a hole here starting this third period as the Detroit Red Wings, some interesting numbers
Great.
when they've been on top going into the third. And this season, this is not a team you want to be behind on. In fact, for the past few seasons, this is a team you want to be behind on. Injury update, Darren Pang.
Yeah, Bob Airey went in between periods. The United Center here in Chicago has its own x-ray machine. So Bob Airey went there, got an x-ray done. The Blackhawk doctor Lou Kolb took a look at that. X-rays are negative for a neck injury, but he did jam his neck, and it occurred on this terrific setup by Greg Johnson. Johnson on the backhand. Airey, watch as he goes into the net now. He crumples down, and throughout that second period, he was in a lot of pain. Got it checked out. X-rays are negative, fellas.
He had a great goal, but it cost him.
Yeah.
After he scored it.
That's the only time a negative is a positive.
Yeah.
When it's an X-ray.
That's right. Off the face-off, Chelios is going. We're underway here in the third period on National Hockey Night. Here's Jeremy Roenick. They've got to come on strong. Chicago does here, so they'll try and take some chances offensively. Coming back to get it was Hackett. Leaves it off for Chelios. Hackett 0-6 in his career against Detroit. In net for Chicago. Vernon 9-9 lifetime against Chicago. He's in net for the Red Wings. On the near side, Chelios getting into it with Nicholas Lidstrom behind the plate. It'll be covered at the other end. No whistle. Detroit changes.
It looks like Chris Chelios has flipped his phaser from stunned to hurt.
Jeremy Roenick left it. Intended for Nichols down low. Played by Jeremy Roenick. Tied up by Paul Coffey. Swung back up on the near side boards, and Kozlov clears it out. Chicago's elbows and sticks are up. Start the third period.
You bet.
So we may see some clashing here before this thing's done.
Well, they are so frustrated by the Detroit Red Wings. The Chicago Blackhawks at this stage of the season can only hope that if they do well in the playoffs long enough to get to the last parts of the Western Conference Finals, that Detroit will be gone by then. And they have to hope that somebody else will take care of Detroit, because they haven't shown they're able to. Here's Chris Chelios trying to get to the net. There's Nicholas Lidstrom. Look at that. The punch to the face and then the elbow. Then tried to rip his head off.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Paul Coffey, the shot save made by Hackett, and he'll cover. Detroit won 2 games at Detroit, 3-1 and 3-0. They tied in the game played here 5-5. So this Chicago team, as Bill said, is trying to find a way to beat the best team in hockey. You want to be able to do that before the playoffs start.
Yep, the Chicago Blackhawks had not beaten the Colorado Avalanche either. At least they accomplished that this week. They could have won both against Colorado, but they also blew a third period lead in their last game, which was 2 nights ago in Colorado. Detroit blew their third period lead yesterday.
So Detroit trying to hang on to this one. There's Dino Ciccarelli out there with Doug Brown on this line. Off the face-off, one back to Ciccarelli to Bob Rouse. His shot was on. Saved by Hackett again. Picked up off the dasher, but not out of there. Chelios finally gets it by Brown. 2 on 2 the other way. Shot on Chance. Patrick Poulin's out there now with Chance and Cummins. Have we seen this line before?
Once for moments in the first period, but they have been glued to the pine. They are the 4th line for Chicago, and Craig Hartsburg has gotten the crowbar out and said, okay, boys, nobody else is doing anything. Can't do any worse than anybody else. We're down 5-2. Maybe you can give us some spark. But it hasn't been lack of offense for Chicago. They knew they were going to have to compete in a real tight game against Detroit. Chicago has simply broken down defensively. Jeff Hackett has allowed 5 goals, and he's been terrific, and he hasn't been bad on one of the goals.
Chicago coming into this with the 3rd best defense in the league, giving up only 2.6 a game. Detroit doubling up on that number here. The Detroit Red Wings looking for yet another win here in their #1 ranking. Dino Ciccarelli dropped it back into the middle of Rouse. Better off ahead of the play, cut across, gets the pass. Better off, Sergei Fedorov left it. Shot deflected wide off the glass. Played back there by Keith Carney. Opportunity for Mike Ramsey, the defenseman that time for Detroit. Flip back out to center. Rammer coming back to get it. Ramsey's been used sparingly this season, but a veteran is very savvy about playing the defensive end of the ice and not afraid to play the body. After all the over 1,000 games that he has been in, dropped off routes behind the net. Rouse and Ramsey have been teamed up together. Doug Brown leaves it back in the middle for Fedorov. Fedorov the flip over Ciccarelli's head. Smith will come back to get it.
Darren, Chris Chelios just went off the ice. It appears now on every shift he's going to try and join the rush. He tried to jump up on the play just about every shift.
Darren Pang.
Fellas, behind the net here, Mike Vernon. Now, he's not a very big guy, a little bigger than I am. He's about 5'8". You know the goal cam inside the net? Well, he tried to get himself positioned. Here's how loose, and I know you fellas were talking about his demeanor earlier. So he's trying to get comfortable, and the darn goal cam keeps hitting him. So now he's looking around, and he sees me behind the net, and he's telling me to stop moving the camera as if I got some control over that sucker. I thought he was going to bang his head on it. He's not that small.
Our first goaltender fight of the year. One of them was not even in the league. It's going to be involved. Brought back up by Craven. He sends it in. Near side, McCarty. Darren McCarty over to get it. Hit by Smith. At the point, Bergevin has got a goal, and that one deflected wide. Hackett reaching up. It went by Murphy into the middle. Bad pass. Lariano shot. Save made by Hackett. Another turnover by Chicago, creating the opportunity for Igor Larionov.
Oh, what a good play by Larionov. He is almost always perfectly positioned defensively. I mean, he is high in the zone. You know, in the Russian system, in the old Russian system, and I believe they're still using it, the center was always the defensive player. So you had to be able to learn how to play good defensive hockey. That was always part of the system, and it didn't matter which unit, which five-man unit was on the ice. You knew the wingers up front were going to be the scorers. The centers were the top defensive players. Larionov is a gifted defensive player.
What an acquisition he has been. He's over a point a game since joining the Detroit Red Wings. He's got 55 points, and this is 52nd game with the Detroit Red Wings after being quiet early from San Jose. In the middle of Craven, set up by Daze, but taken out of the play at a penalty count. It'll be a hooking call here, giving Chicago the power play opportunity. Murray Craven had gotten a half step that time, and he was hauled down by the captain of Detroit, Steve Yzerman.
Yep, you don't usually get the half step on the Detroit Red Wings. Murray Craven was able to find a seam and used his speed, so Steve Yzerman with a 3-goal lead wasn't real reluctant to pull him down.
Detroit Red Wings, as we said, take very few penalty minutes, second fewest in the league, so that short-handed unit not on the ice a lot. Scotty Bowman's specialty teams ranking 6th in power play and 1st in penalty killing. Chicago, 2:40 gone in this third period, gets a chance to cut into this 3-goal lead. Mike Vernon, the man who will watch as Chicago goes on the power play. Well, the power play for the Blackhawks will be their 4th of the game. Yzerman out at the 2:40 mark. See, 1 for 3 on the power play thus far in this game. They're back over on the near side. Dropped in for Nichols from Roenick. Chased down there. Chicago trying to get the power play set up. Savard's out there on it. Gary Suter from Chelios along the blue line. Roenick had it intercepted. Lidstrom and banged out by Fedorov. Chase at the other end. Doug Brown, he's alone. Brown spins around. He's got a goal in this game. Got double teamed, so he feathered it down the boards. Gary Suter goes back to get it for Chicago. Chicago looking to cut into this 3-goal Detroit lead. Brought back up by Suter. Sent in. Vernon there. Easy hold on that one. Chelios banged it back into the corner. It's offside, though. Nichols in the touch will draw the whistle. Coming up on SportsCenter in a Sunday night conversation, Rick Pitino, now coaching in college, but he went there from the NBA. Some feelings about that.
It's not always going to be your way. You're going to have to do it the right way, which is the best that you can get out of this basketball team. I would never say the inmates are running the asylum, because I have too much respect for them. They're good people, the players playing in the NBA. They're just spoiled. It's human nature.
Rick Pitino now with the #1 team in college basketball. Talking about the NBA there, where he had some good years, but wanted to go back. Suter the shot, save made, deflected back, tipped away by far side of Monty to Chelios in the middle of Gary Suter. Suter the blast, locked out deep and cleared. Keith Primo of Detroit down on the ice to block it.
Looked like he got his big size 12s in the way.
Had a pretty high loft on that shot to get it over him.
So he got it in the foot, I think. That's why he may be wincing a little bit.
Primo back on the bench. Tony Amati moves it in. Amati, power play's got 30 seconds left on it. Chelios right point shot. Deflected out front. Again, knocked down in there. Daze for Chicago. Tried to tip it. Chelios puts the hit on the far side. Puck rolls free. Taylor back to get it. Tied up by Suter. Suter and Taylor. Short-handed Detroit. 15 seconds left on the penalty. Intercepted again by Taylor. Taylor sends it in. Good job by the penalty killers of the Detroit Red Wings. Red Wings penalty killing unit started the first 20 games of this season first, and they're still first in that department. They're back the other way. Penalty is over. Weinrich for Chicago. Detroit killing that one off. Poulin's back out. That fourth line of Chicago gets another chance. Cummins pass intercepted. So Craig Hartsburg just trying to find some life right now for Chicago. Goes to the end of the bench here in the third period. Second shift the fourth line's had, and we think they're third of the game. Patrick Poulin moves it up. Poulin trying to dump it out in front. Chance, who was cutting, deflected. Spin around chance Cummins. The shot. Save made. Went through the screen. And Vernon hangs on. And so do the Red Wings to a 3-goal lead. ESPN's National Hockey Night coming to you from Chicago in the United Center, where the Chicago Blackhawks have gone 17-9-4 at home, but they're taking on the #1 road team in the National Hockey League, the Detroit Red Wings. 19 wins on the road for the #1 team in the NHL, and the Red Wings this season have done well against Chicago, picking up 2 wins and a 5-5 tie in the last meeting between these two teams. Due to time constraints, we'll move to action later in the game right after these commercial messages.
Here's how that play started that we showed you before we went to break. Jeremy Roenick came together with Darren McCarty. When they came up, Jeremy Roenick just put the headlock on him, kind of the wrestling hold. Now, Darren McCarty just got back into the lineup yesterday for Detroit after missing 7 games with a serious cut on his left hand that he suffered 2 weeks ago against Washington. And Jeremy Roenick knows that McCarty's still not really supposed to fight yet, but you don't want to take that chance against Darren McCarty. He'd probably say, I don't care if I got clearance, I'm going to go anyway.
Look at him laughing over there. 9:13, the time of the Magic Minors. Remains a 5-2 Red Wings lead. Back out to Chelios. Chelios the shot. Oh, I think that was kicked out by Vernon. Man, he got the left leg on a blistering shot along the ice. Chelios trying to dump it to the point, couldn't get it through Fedorov. Fedorov starts it up for the Red Wings. 4-on-4. Chelios looking and hacking away to get it away from him,
And still didn't get it away. That tells you how strong Fedorov is.
There's Chelios down low. His centering pass put wide. He got it out in front. Murphy couldn't redirect it on that, though. Konstantinov back. Konstantinov sends it over to Doug Brown. 4-on-4 here. Brown back through the middle. Both teams making changes. Fedorov and Brown. Only 2 Red Wings out there right now. Fedorov open. The shot and a save made by Hackett. Ulanoff back. Ulanoff from around his own net. Starts it up through Denny Savard. Denny Savard for Chicago. Ulanoff follows it up. Chased it down in the corner. Paul Coffey was there. Savard took it away. Got it up to Amani. Wraparound shot. Save Vernon again. Tony Amani did the 360 and got a good shot off. Mike Vernon denied. Just hung with it. In the corner, Savard lost it back there to Coffey. Now takes it away on the chip. Bob Airy there. Gets it up to Steve Yzerman. Yzerman leads for Detroit. Red line shot over Hackett's head. Bounces to the side of the net. Detroit leading at 5-2. No scoring here in this third period. Chicago got this game. They were behind 3-0. They got back to make it a 3-2 game. And Detroit got the last 2 goals in that second period. Offside call here. Let's check in with our man, Steve Levy.
Gary, as you and Billy know, we like to call this the Network MCI Play of the Night. From the Flames' 5-1 win over the Sharks, the actor Sandy McCarthy took it right off the stick from Jason Moore and took his time to beat Chris Terreri. The Network MCI Play of the Night.
Do you know that he called that the MCI Play of the Night?
I did, and I give Steve a lot of credit for knowing that Sandy McCarthy is going to play the role of Jim Thorpe in the Jim Thorpe movie. That's why he called him an actor. Steve, you can't get anything by Steve Levy, folks.
Amazing. Nor by Mike Vernon.
You're smooth.
Well, we had that rolling. The video cards were all up, so we just kept right on talking. Cleared back with 9:09 left to go, and none too soon.
No, you are smooth.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Ulanoff knocked away by Shantz. Ramsey playing around at center with that one. Knocked away by Primo this time. Detroit looked like they were going into the 4 corners. Shot made by Rouse. Save made by Hackett into the corner. Chased down by Weinrich. Eric Weinrich right through his own goaltender's crease. Magic Minors are over. Picked up by Rouse. Drops it back. Both teams changing up. McCarty comes to the red. Sends it in. Weinrich comes back to get it. 8:35 remaining to go here. Pulling on the near side. Puck behind him. He didn't realize it had been batted away. Touched up by McCarty. So that'll draw the whistle here. Hit with a high stick. Mike Vernon making his second start in consecutive games and looking like a winner right now with a big third period under his belt.
Playing back-to-back games for the Detroit Red Wings, but Scotty Bowman, the head coach, how indecisive is Scotty Bowman? The other night, Chris Osgood told me, Scotty called them, Osgood and Vernon are roommates, called them at 11 o'clock to tell him that he wasn't playing, called him at 11:45 to say he was playing. That's how indecisive Scotty is at times, and in fact, fellas, Osgood thought that maybe he was just checking up on them, seeing that they were roommates.
I vote on number 3.
Number 3, yeah. Pretty good chance of that with Scotty. Cicero back in the middle. Johnson. Save made by Hackett. Tic-tac passing right there. Dino Cicerelli and Greg Johnson creating the opportunity. That Lions had some good offensive chances in this game.
See, the reason you call a second time is you call a first time, and if a guy's smart, he waits for the ball, then goes out after.
That's right. That's exactly right. How do you know that? Taylor on the shot. That's the answer.
That was an old school trick. The guys today don't do that.
Carney brings it in. Carney down the middle. Had it blocked. Batted away. Bergevin over to Bob Airy. Held on to by Cummins. Flip back in behind the net. Detroit right now dumping down deep and chasing. Trying to run the time off with a 3-goal lead here. Chicago sending folks in. Trying to get something by Vernon. They've had the chances. Jeremy Roenick back out there on the ice. 31-30 the shots in favor of Chicago. Yzerman took it away. He's got McCarty cutting. To McCarty. Chelios read it. Stepped in and stole the pass. Deflected at center to Amati. He couldn't get that pass off to Roenick. Yzerman at center. Blue line shot there. Screamed wide. Rebound covered. Has to drop it off for Gary Suter.
A big difference in this game. Steve Yzerman, a gifted player. His last 2 shifts, he's come to the blue line, realized he was outnumbered, and he drifted a long shot instead of turning it over there. And Detroit plays, even their skilled guys play so smart.
Here's McCarty. Another Scotty Bowman. You don't play smart, you don't play. And as Steve Yzerman has learned, it doesn't matter who you are. Brought back in by Yzerman. Yzerman drops it off. McCarty cutting to the net. Nichols knocked it away. Yzerman does battle in the corner. Nichols comes over to help. Digs it out. Murphy, the intended. Rose will have to come back to center on it here. Chip back into the zone. Both teams making changes. 6:27 to go here in this third period. Here's Gary Suter. Suter's had a tough night. He has been out there for 4 of the 5 goals that have been scored by the Red Wings. Also 1 scored by Chicago. He's got a -3 going for him here at the moment. And that'll be pinned up in the corner on the whistle. ESPN's National Hockey Night tonight here in Chicago. Next Sunday night, we move to Philadelphia, where the Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils and Scott Stevens take on Eric Lindros and the Flyers. A great rivalry between these 2 teams and these 2 players who just love to eat each other up. That game will be seen in the New York, New Jersey area and in the Philadelphia markets.
Scotty Bowman may be indecisive at times, but he's looked real good in putting Mike Vernon back in the goal today after Mike Vernon lost yesterday at home to the Vancouver Canucks. Mike Vernon has been flawless. He's loud too, but they haven't been his.
Vernon coming in with the 5th best goals against and 280 wins, as he is 18th all-time among goaltenders in wins in NHL history. Doug Brown into the corner. Brown's picked up a goal in this game. Red Wings on top here by a score of 5-2. Playing D here in the 3rd. Fedorov back to get it. Bergevin, Yzerman, Konstantinov, Airy, and Brown. The 5 goals for Detroit. Roenick and Craven got their 2 goals midway through that second period, and they made it a 3-2 game. But it's 5-2 now. Into the corner. Arianov tied up by Sutter. Kozlov sends it around the boards and out of the zone. Just out on the ice, Chelios. Ask Greg Hartsburg as the season goes along whether he'd reduce some of that Chelios time, which is up to about 35 minutes a game. Daze in, shot blocked. Hartsburg said not that anyone would notice except Chelios. He said as we go along, if it looks like we're locked into a position for the playoffs, I'll probably cut it down a little bit, get it under 30 minutes maybe for some games, maybe down to 25 in some games. But he said you can't make those kind of changes with players. He plays 33, 34 minutes a game. That's what he wants to play. He's going to play them.
You get used to playing a certain amount. And I don't think once you get into the playoffs, be careful with that spit there, Chris. When you get into the playoffs, you don't have to play games on consecutive nights. And Chris Chelios can handle 30, 35 minutes a game. The one thing that you try to avoid is him getting hurt. And the chances of him getting hurt are a little greater if he plays 35 minutes a game and is real tired at the end of the game.
Cleared back up along the near side. Out of the zone, Larionov giving chase. Chelios is up there with him. Flip back off the board. Shot Primo. He just plain old fanned on that one. Lots of other sports action going on. We keep you updated 10 past, half past, and 10 before every hour right here on ESPN. Craven put the hit on to free the puck up, though, and Detroit was able to control. Larionov again coming. He'll send it in. Detroit making the quick changes now and playing the back-to-back games. Their shifts cut down here to 30, 40 seconds.
Scotty Bowman has used so many line combinations in this. When he gets the lead, he experiments, he tries different things. He just had Primo out there on the left side with Larionov and Kozlov. I think he's had 16, 18 line combinations in this tilt so far.
Yep. And he keeps the players, he does it in a way that keeps the players happy. He likes the players to have some fun at it when they're in a situation like this. Play with players they want to play with. Sometimes he gets angry and does it just because he wants somebody to take a listen. But man, he's a guy who can, he makes it work behind the bench. More wins than anyone's ever had. The National Hockey League coaching. Back up to Schultz. Chicago changing up behind the play. Cummins dumps it back into the zone. Detroit's played this third period about as perfectly as you can. They're just letting it run, not making mistakes. Penalty coming up on that far side hit. Chased down at the far end, and there's the whistle. And it'll be a tripping call. A power play coming up here, I believe, for Detroit when we come back. Red Wings up by 3. ESPN's National Hockey Night coming to you from Chicago in the United Center, where the Chicago Blackhawks have gone 17-9-4 at home, but they're taking on the #1 road team in the National Hockey League, the Detroit Red Wings. 19 wins on the road for the #1 team in the NHL, and the Red Wings this season have done well against Chicago, picking up 2 wins and a 5-5 tie in the last meeting between these two teams. Due to time constraints, we'll move to action later in the game right after these commercial messages.
Gary, this time the new Dodge takes us to McNichols in Denver. The Maple Leafs and the Avalanche. Colorado a 1-0 lead. Watch the move. Joe Sakic fights through 2 defenders, gets the puck across to Scott Young. Trust me, he shot it wide.
Yeah, see, we want to see the end. Don't we want to see the end of that? What do you mean, trust me? Trust me. Trust me, it would have gone in. Never mind the red light. Off the face-off, back. Probably very Melrose said on the tape there and stopped it. Knocked down by Lidstrom. Lidstrom on a 2-man advantage for Detroit here at the point. Shot, score! Looked like it was deflected, and Hackett takes a shot out there. And
Keith Primo.
That's not a good idea either.
It's all right if you got some backing. But Jeff Hackett thought he was interfered with. Keith Primo creates a tremendous screen when he's in front. Jeff Hackett's pointing up saying, watch the replay, watch the replay. He interfered with me. That won't take anything away from Nicholas Lidstrom's shot. And here we go. See, Chris Chelios has been looking for somebody this whole third period. He is a proud gladiator, Chelios is, and you get him down 5-2 in his own building and embarrass him, you better be ready to take him on. And Chelios and Primo are wrapped up. Who's Konstantinov going on? Konstantinov went over there and tugged at Chelios a little bit too. As I was saying, none of this takes away from the shot that Nicholas Lidstrom launched. It actually clanked in off the post.
Now, it was a 2-man advantage here, so Chicago on the ice a little short-handed for the melee.
Yeah, if trouble breaks out and the linesmen aren't able to squash it, I would say you've got a numbers problem.
We'll have to wait for the call on that goal. It looked like it was deflected in front, but a lot of people standing there. Dan Mariuelli's going to take some with him here, I think.
Sounded like a direct clank.
It did.
The sound of it.
Like it may have hit the post.
Oh, hit the post, yeah. And even the sound of the clank led me to believe that it came right from the stick of Lidstrom.
Look at Hackett and Fedorov down here. Only 2:37 left to go. Hackett and Fedorov were talking up towards the blue line, skating back and forth.
Gary, we talked about this a little bit in the first period during one of the breaks. See Keith Primo laughing? You try to get them off their game, and that's what Chicago tried to do when they came out tonight. You can't rile the Detroit Red Wings. They turn the other cheek. Now, they'll stand up if they have to, but they go right back to playing their game. Chicago wanted to drag Detroit into the trenches in this game, play a physical game, get them all riled up and try to throw them off of their good defensive game. Not even close. I mean, that's Primo laughing over there.
Goal has been credited to Lidstrom. Fedorov and Konstantinov on the assists.
There's Fedorov's pass back to Lidstrom. Wow. That even looked fast in slow-mo. Oh, boy, did he ever chop Keith Primo first. Primo had to have done something to him before the goal because he wasn't even close to him. Chris Chelios with a couple of face wipes for the bare hand. A couple of Y.I.O.tas in there. How about a little facial there, Keith? Got a little acne. I think I'm going to clear it up with this scrape.
So the Red Wings have a 6-2 lead.
Look at the scratch marks on him, on his neck and on his cheek.
Explain that when you get home. Better take a videotape of this game with me. Want to remind you, NHL tonight comes your way Tuesday through Saturday, 11:30 Eastern. All the action, highlights, scores, stories, and more. If you like the NHL, you have to see NHL tonight, Tuesday through Saturday, 11:30 Eastern on the Deuce.
He's single.
He doesn't have to explain it. Maybe. Taking a quick look here, the 6 goals, the most goals given up by Chicago this year, 7 against Colorado in a 7-3 loss. They've given up 6 goals now 5 other times, and they've given up 6 here and trail 6-2. Sports Center is coming right along. Wayne Gretzky, an update as he played his second game with the St. Louis Blues and had to leave the game after taking a real thwack in it. We'll have an update on his condition as well as take a look at the highlights of it. Hakeem and the Magic, the Rockets and Lakers were in NBA action. The Sunday Conversation featuring Kentucky head coach Rick Pitino. Chris Berman, Dan Patrick standing by. Sports Center coming right along.
So Nicholas Lidstrom has scored the 6th goal. Keith Primo was part of it. He was in front. Nicholas Lidstrom, everybody knows his name now. Opening night this season. Look at the name on his back. The person that created the nameplates for Detroit, Lidstorm. There's a little inversion there of the O and the R. Keith Primo, Thursday night. Now, this wasn't an accident. This was a joke. Keith Primarov. He wanted to infiltrate that Russian unit and try to trick Scotty. Didn't work.
He wanted to be part of that Kochka line we've talked about, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. By the way, that was just for the warm-up. He took it off for the game.
Here's some out-of-town scores for you. Now, we told, wasn't Steve Levy supposed to check? The Kochka line represents the great maestros at the turn of the century in the Soviet Union. 19th century maestros. They were called the Kochka group. A mighty handful is what it means. So that's what we've called this line, is the Kochka line, the Soviet unit. Well, we wondered who those maestros were who constituted the Kochka group. And Steve Levy was supposed to have researched that for him.
Well, he was too busy changing from the MCI proof positive to whatever he calls it now.
The Kochka moment. This is what happens when games get out of control and the coffee's gone and we're hungry and there's 2:37 left on the clock.
A little punchy, a little giddy. Keith Carney's in the box. Denny Savard's joining him. That's all we can tell you right now. No, we can tell you a little more. Whoa, a little crowded.
Hackett gets 2 for slashing the goaltender of Chicago. Chelios gets 4 for roughing. And 10-minute misconduct for Chelios as well. Primo's got 2 for roughing.
Scratch man do.
Old Nat King Cole song. 6-2 lead for the Red Wings. And again, a 2-man advantage for Detroit as they go on the power play. This is not, I mean, this is a really bad night for the Chicago Blackhawks. This has turned into a joke.
Well, it reinforces something that they were afraid of admitting, and that is that the Detroit Red Wings are a superior hockey team. And they are.
You take a look at the numbers here over the last couple of years. Detroit is 11-2-1 against Chicago over the last 2 years, including the playoff games, 11-2-1.
Right. I mean, if Colorado can't take out Detroit at some point in the end of the finals, Detroit is so strong this year, folks. And unlike last year, they learned from the New Jersey Devils. They will outweight you. They will do whatever they have to do to be patient, to wait for their opportunities. You know what they are, Gary? To me, they're this year's version of the New Jersey Devils, only they do it with a different defensive system. Instead of the trap, it's the left wing lock. But if you want to wait them out, they will wait you out.
And a much more explosive offense than the Devils ever had.
Exactly.
So they can put up 6 goals in a game like this. Power play still underway here for Detroit. Moved in by Lidstrom. There he is out on the point, near side. Johnson, Greg Johnson, dropping it down low. Kozlov waiting. Shot saved by Hackett. Rebound deflected to the near side. 5-on-3. Johnson back over Lidstrom. Look how low Lidstrom has come down to the face-off dot. He's going to stay down there. Johnson. Now he moves back to the top with Johnson. Johnson the shot save made by Hackett. Minute 7 left to go in the third. Darren Pang.
You know, an interesting scenario now with Jeff Hackett in goal for this one. He played well in the 5-3 loss at Colorado on Friday night. Played extremely well here on Thursday night and winning 4-3. But now, is there another window of opportunity? Sort of serve and volley right now. And with this loss, a key matchup against the Detroit Red Wings. Belfour has not had much success against the Detroit Red Wings in the past. And you look at the two guys. Is there a goaltending controversy here? Coach Craig Hartsburg insists, yes, there are. And right now, Jeff Hackett is the #1 guy until Belfour gets ready, if he can get ready through that back injury. 2 playoff games for Hackett. Don't be deceived. He also led the Springfield Indians to the American League Championship and was the MVP of the playoffs, that coming just 4.5 years ago.
But only 26 minutes of playoff experience in the NHL. And you know, Gary, you mentioned that Craig Hartsburg was not happy with Eddie Belfour because he only told him an hour before the game that his back was bothering him. Craig Hartsburg was upset because he said it wasn't fair to Jeff Hackett.
Yeah.
You know, you want to know that you're playing.
You came to the morning skate. You were told you were going to start. You warmed up. You went home. And then you come back an hour before game time and say you can't play.
Yeah, all Craig Hartsburg wanted was a little bit of a heads up in the morning. Like saying, hey, just give me a fighting chance so that I can give Jeff Hackett a fighting chance.
Yeah, be ready just in case kind of thing. Yeah. Sent in by Fedorov. 1 minute left to go here in the third period. Power play still underway. Yzerman drops it back in the middle. Shot by Barry. Save made by Hackett and cleared out. 2-man advantage for another 4 seconds here. Power play, though, is going to finish the game for the Detroit Red Wings. Now it's a 5-on-4 for them. Got the 6-2 lead in this one. Fedorov drops it off on the far side. Yzerman over to get it. Yzerman sends it back for Fedorov. So the Detroit Red Wings have not lost here in Detroit over the last 7, here in Chicago, over the last 7 games. After this one, 6-0-1. In the last 7 games played here at Chicago, and they'll be 3-0-1 against Chicago this year.
What a little clinic Steve Yzerman is putting on here on how to run the time down.
Really frustrated. This game is over, and the Detroit Red Wings have thoroughly beaten the Chicago